chessboard. The chessboard, anybody? On one side of the chessboard you have the white pieces. And on the other side of the chessboard you have the black pieces. This is not a game about integration. This is a game, it is not a game about hatred. It is a game in which white plays one side of the board and black plays the other. But what is the object of the game of chess?
Kill the king.
That's a B answer. C answer. The object of the game of chess is for the white king to checkmate the black king. Why? Because white always moves first. White always moves first. So that white is playing offense, defense, and black has to play defense, offense. But you can win chess playing the black side of the chessboard. You can't win it if you are thinking you can ask the white side to give you some points. You cannot win it if you think that the game is about the black king punching out the black queen or the black queen punching out the black king. You cannot win it if you think the job of the pawns is to punch out the bishops and for the queen to kill the knights. Anybody who is going to play championship level chess knows that the game is for black to focus on white and for white to focus on black. Do you understand? See how quiet it is? Oh, Jesus. Does that mean that we really are going to be required to get along with each other?
That's right.
Does it mean that we have to work together across the board?
Absolutely.
Yes, it does. This, to me, is the challenge that has been left by Harold Washington, because he showed by giving his life the level of struggle that has to be carried out if a black person is really going to do anything. The challenge that we are facing is whether can we look at the chessboard? Can we get comfortable playing the black side of the chessboard to victory? This is a side of the chessboard, let us say, that is playing for white supremacy for the purpose of white genetic survival. And this side of the chessboard has to play for justice. Not killing and destroying all white people, that's not what I'm talking about. But there must be neutralization of a minority of people on the planet controlling the majority. If you say that you understand what is happening in South Africa, that is a situation in which there are 4 million people who classify themselves as white and 22 million black people. And when they say by any means necessary we are going to maintain white power, otherwise we will lose our national identity, they are saying if we don't control the 22 million that we will be genetically annihilated. But I can tell, see, the vibrations have gone down to almost zero in here. Yes, they are. And I'm going to tell you why they've gone down to zero. That once we are required to face up to what is happening, this is a very dangerous and deadly situation. Because it is my point of view that the AIDS virus was man-made. for what purpose? For the purpose of white genetic survival. Maintaining white supremacy is war that is conducted against black, brown, red, and yellow people for the purpose of white genetic survival. It is a deadly game of war. All people who were raised up under lynching and castration know how deadly it is. All the people who are standing on the corner without jobs, all the people who are treating their depression with heroin and cocaine or alcohol know how deadly it is. All the people who know through training that men who classify themselves as white do not permit non-white men to look at them straight in the eye.
Absolutely.
Beyond 4 seconds. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now I can feel the vibes. Why do we have to talk about this?
Speak on, sister.
You see what I'm saying? Because we would rather not have to face this. I don't want to face it. But the point is that I know I have to. My grandmother used to say about her husband, my father's mother, your grandfather was a race man. Your grandfather was a doctor, but your grandfather was a race man. Focusing on the issue of color. My father was a race man, focusing on the issue of color. And they didn't send me to school not to focus on the issue of color. No, we have to look at this, because there is not one problem that is going to be solved. There's not a problem that is going to be solved in a black household between a man and a woman if they are not doing the Nelson and Winnie Mandela pattern. And what is the Nelson and Winnie Mandela pattern? They have been separated for how long? 26 years, 20-something years. But every time you hear their name, you think of them as being together. Because it's a black king and a black queen looking at the white side of the chessboard. In their respective locations. And what comes about as a result of that? See, if I'm just trying to play house, you understand? Whether it's male or female, just trying to play house, white supremacy is coming in the window. You think it's the hawk, that's white supremacy. Non-stop white supremacy, day and night, non-stop. And if there were some black men that would testify, you see, because we are being required to what? Face the truth. The truth is going to set us free.
Absolutely.
See, we can get some witnesses in here that will stand up in front of the church. See, the church is just a place where they tell the truth. The church. The reason that I ran around is because I didn't really feel like a man. I was trying to get convinced. And when I got to the next lady, I wasn't convinced, and I had to go on to the next. But the problem is not the ladies. The problem is white supremacy. White supremacy says, no, you are not going to be a man. Now, I've already given you a model on television. Now, the program is not there, but I've already told you See, you're not going to be a man. If you are a man, you can cause me white genetic annihilation. I can't have that. So I'm going to turn you into women. Flipping back and forth between dressing as a male and dressing as a female. And then I come on down to good times. Good times is when you are not employed. Good times for me. See, just like when the Romans were dealing with Jesus 2,000 years ago, Jesus was a black man. The Romans were conducting white supremacy.
Absolute. Right.
If Rome remained white, they had to be conducting white supremacy. And it's a clue in his name, Jesus. That means just us. You never thought about that. Just us. Jes-us. See, Rome was coming in and saying, no, you are going to submit to me. So white supremacy has been going on for a very long time. When they thought that the world just consisted of, a little bit of Europe and the whole of Africa and the Mediterranean, white supremacy. White genetic survival was being conducted. Okay, but to go back to this point, that Jesus, when, according to religion in the system of white supremacy, we're over here. You see where they changed the color of Jesus?
Yeah.
So that all of the non-white people in the world would not be worshiping their own image, but they would worship the image of the oppressor. And when you worship the image of white supremacy, you'll never come out from under it. That's right. And when you look at, like I went to Olivet Baptist Church, Quinn Chapel AME Church, baptized in one, christened in the other, and the little Sunday school cards. How many people saw the little Sunday school cards? And the picture of Jesus that is in your brain, and it will not come out. You see, but your brain computer has already made the calculation. If that's the Son of God, God must be white. See, but probably if I ask what color is God, God doesn't have a color. Ask your computer. See, I can give everybody a test. Say, close your eyes, and I'm going to say a word, and you check the image that comes across the screen in your brain computer. Close your eyes, everybody. Eyes closed tight. Okay, here's the word. Jesus. So you didn't see an image that looked like any of the black men in this room. You say, that's not Jesus. That's not my Jesus. Do you all understand? See, a system is made to turn out a particular product. This particular system has been designed for the purpose of white genetic survival. And so it is a system of programming the brain computer in all of these areas of activity to achieve this objective. Now, what we have to do is decode the game that is on the table. Just like if you don't play chess, you can sit down a long time and watch two people who are playing and then figure out exactly what the game is. And so what we are talking about is understanding the game that is on the table, decoding the system of white supremacy, reorganizing behavior from being victims of white supremacy, turning it into people who will be able to neutralize and checkmate white supremacy. But it will take understanding that we are afraid to deal with white supremacy. I'm going to tell you, I'm proof right here. You can lose your job talking about white supremacy. You can make a whole lot of people who don't even know you think they don't like you. Because you dare to talk about white supremacy. This is the game that is on the table. Everything else is fluff. focusing on this. Any man and woman who want to improve their relationship, focus on white supremacy. See, any woman that thinks man is a problem, focus on white supremacy. Any man that thinks a black woman is a problem, focus on white supremacy. There's a problem that is 10 trillion times greater for you than any non-white female that you've ever encountered on the planet. And see, by looking at this side of the chessboard, which will require courage, and the use of courage will produce self-respect. And when we are in self-respect, for example, if I, Cress Welsing, said, I can't stand men, I can't stand black men, what would my self-respect score be max?
0.
No, it wouldn't be 0. It would be at max 50%. Why? Because I am produced by a mother and a father. Without my father, I could not be standing here. So if I say I hate half of myself, I hate me, then my self-respect score will be 50 at max, and my self-defense score will also be 50. And anybody growing up in the Chicago public schools know that 50 is not passing. You see, so I would be in a failed state of self-respect. This is very critical. It is important for men. It is important for women. A man saying, I hate black women. I hate black women. His self-respect score at max can only be 50. And he will eventually engage in self-destructive behavior, and she will engage in self-destructive behavior, and white supremacy will say, right on.
Yeah.
See, this is of critical importance, because white supremacy said, now what I'm going to do is that it's very difficult to maintain control with guns all the time. I have to have a much more efficient and effective manner to achieve what I need to achieve. So white supremacy says, now if I don't, it's of critical importance that the men not function at their maximal level, because that will cause me white genetic annihilation. So if I cripple the man so that he cannot play that essential role of breadwinning, I can make any woman that he relates to hate him. Because he's not able to help her. If I don't employ him, then he will have to go back to the definition of self that I gave him during the phase of slavery.
Right. Go ahead.
See, I will make him continue studying, and then I will make his children hate him, because he's producing that which he cannot take care of. Do you all understand?
Right. Absolutely.
See, it's just a fantastic puzzle. All the pieces fit smoothly together. If I don't employ him, I will make his wife hate him. And then when she touches the male child, she will destroy masculinity. So that the little boy will say, Mommy, put some fingernail polish on my nails too. Okay, honey. Let me try your high-heel shoes. Okay. Now this is the youngest son. The older child, there you go acting like that. No good. Do you all understand? He's not bad. She's not bad. White supremacy understands what it's doing.
That's right.
Now somebody raised a question in the last set. Well, what about homosexuality? White supremacy makes homosexuality.
Absolutely.
Homosexuality homosexuality was not a form of sexual expression in Africa.
Right.
It was the dominant form of sexual expression in Greece and Rome.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. Right.
What was going on? I say what was going on is this. Here's the big giant continent of Africa. All these black people. Some people play black Africa. The whole of Africa is black. Over here, the Mediterranean, here's Italy, little tiny countries, Europe. So these little men over here, white, saw these giants over here, black. And they probably started saying, who has the biggest penis way back then?
Absolute.
So I say that the men on the northern side of the Mediterranean said, gosh. They can genetically annihilate me. And I think it's also bigger. So then these men, feeling an inadequacy of masculinity and manhood, started engaging in behavior. What kind of behavior? See, male homosexual behavior is what? Putting the penis in the mouth or putting it in the anus. The mouth and the anus are opposite ends of the gastrointestinal tract. This is the tract that we use to feed the body. So if the body is feeling a deficiency in masculinity, it will occur to the brain computer, I need some vitamin masculinity called semen.
Absolutely.
Did you get that?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
See, it's just like if your body is missing a particular substance, you say, I think I need some greens. That's true. You see, without understanding what particular mineral you are in search of. And so these men over here started putting penis in mouth and penis in anus because compared to these men, they felt masculine deficient. But under the conditions of white supremacy that had to attack black masculinity for the purpose of what? White genetic survival. So they said, well, now these men haven't been accustomed to these practices, but I'm taking masculinity away from them. I'm conquering them, and I'm taking masculinity away. Now, any men, I look at it and see some men looking to the right and looking to the left and not looking forward. Don't be upset. Don't be upset. The strongest men in this room are those who can say, we have been conquered by the oppressor. I am glad to announce, yes, we have been conquered. If the Bears lose a football game, do they have a problem saying we lost that one?
Get them the next one.
See, actually, if the brain computer believes in the potential that is there, one can say we've lost the last million tournaments. It just means that we have to study the field or study the board. It doesn't mean turn around and run from the reality. So that the challenge for the rest of the 1980s is, can we face the reality? See, you don't enslave a people who have not been beaten. We were beaten. They were running white genetic survival, and I can even go further back in the story than that. Because what I believe happened was black people were the first people on the planet. Everybody with that? At some point in time, black people start producing albino mutants, and any black person can produce an albino mutant, somebody who doesn't have color. All they have to do is have a genetic mutation in the production of melanin. So for some reason, there were some albinos being produced in Africa, and the Africans put them out. In the same way that if a person, a baby is born genetic defective, they put the baby in an institution. So the African people put the white babies out. And the babies are up here in Europe. Cross the Sahara, cross the burning sands, up here in Europe. And then they collected together over a long period of time, and then they came back and started raising hell. You see, causing is like, and then what do they say about the founding of Rome? Rome was found by who? Romulus and Remus. The little white babies who were suckling on a wolf. Because what? Mother and father had put them out. And so then they circle back around and take mother and father out of Africa and bring them over to the New World and say, now you're going to nurse a little white baby. Do you understand? And then they call the black woman mammy.